Alright, I'm making this video on the screen replacement on an iPhone 4. First thing I need to do is heat it up. Start in this corner. Be careful around this area, and the cables over here. Normally I would be using a hot plate to heat the whole thing at once, but this unit has a lit up Apple logo in the back and I'm afraid that would melt it, so I've protected it by covering it here, and I'm going to use a heat gun instead. It's the old school way. This is really not cooperating with me at all. Better. Alright, you want to make sure that you get all that glass off of that LCD. Use a really light brush, or air sometimes is good. I want to get that LCD out of there before I do anything else, so I don't damage that. Get this out of the way. Once it's out, then I can go back and get all the glass from around the frame and edge. But before I unplug the LCD, I need to disconnect the battery. If you don't disconnect the battery first and you disconnect your LCD, an amperage spike will short out your backlight filter, and then you will have a board level repair to do. Still covered the screw over here. Show me the money. Where's that screw? It's good practice to try and not break cables and things, even though we're throwing this digitizer away. It's just good practice because everything else just about that you have to take out, you need to not break as you're doing it. So I'm going to try and get this out without hurting that home button cable. I think this has been repaired before. This is some aftermarket glue right here on top of this screw. There we go. This right here is the battery. I want to disconnect that before anything else. Now that disconnects the battery. I probably should already have some gloves on, some rubber gloves, now that I'm dealing with the LCD, so I'm going to put some on now. Every little fingerprint is really hard to get off the LCD, and just cleaning it can crack it. It's so delicate, so prevention is the best medicine. Alright, now that I've got the battery disconnected, I'm going to disconnect the LCD, but first I'm going to pull up this tape and then just stick it down here to reuse later. And then this little door needs to flip up to release the cable. It's taped down, so I'll need to go up underneath it, or glued down a little bit of adhesive. There we go. Alright. Looks pretty good. No smudges, nothing. So I'm going to set this aside somewhere safe. I got some bubble wrap that came with the digitizer in the mail. I'm going to use that to set it on. Now I need to work on go ahead and getting this off. Which Digitizer cables will be easy, the other one's a little bit harder. Oh, this has got tape on it too, I need to get that off first. Just put it down also. Lift the doors. This has also got adhesive behind it, so got to get under there, free it from the board, and then it can pull out like that. Alright, so to get the home button flex cable, I need to reveal it by moving this tape here. Setting it aside to reuse. And this has the same little flip door. Flip that up, and then the cable can come out. Now, other than a little bit of glue remaining, we're free. Alright. That might be salvageable, so never know. Alright, now it's time to get all this glass up and away. All this glass and glue has to be cleaned up really well because your digitizer, the new one, will not sit flush if you don't get it all. It just takes a little piece of glass or a little glob of glue to mess up your new install. Go ahead and get this frame out of the way, bezel. I've got new ones to put on there. Wish I would have put this glue off with it. So you can see aftermarket adhesive here and here and here, and I saw a little bit, here's some more. So it's been replaced before. Not by me. A lot of times you'll damage the Wi-Fi antenna. These two screws right here, it'll tear and break. If that happens, it's an easy fix. You need some of this metal tape. Put a piece of it right there to hold it, just like the screws are holding it, and it'll have a connection again and continue to get signal. But this one's safe, didn't get damaged. And here we have a bend. I'm going to have to hammer that out. The lip that goes all the way around is like a wall, and that glass has got to sit inside it. And then right here we're going to have a problem. That glass will come down and land on top of that lip if I don't do something about that. And if you don't see it and you start pushing and pushing your glass into place and this is caught under there, it's going to crack your brand new LCD, and what a pain that would be. So you need to inspect it really closely. Grab you a magnifying lamp, you know, like that, and get in there before you close it up. Make sure you got it all good. So I can see little globs of glue, little balls that could hold that screen up, and they're everywhere. And take your time doing this. Don't be in a rush. It's nothing worse than thinking you're done with the job and getting it all sealed up just to notice, oh man, you've got to open it up again and do some more work to make it lay flat. And that's a real pain because you just sealed it with brand new adhesive. Like the moisture that comes out of that thing. Alright, it's time to fix this corner. My corner tool. This has been shaped perfectly for these corners. So it only takes a love tap. You don't hit hard. If you hit too hard, you're going to break it. Just want to bend that lip back out like that. Pretty good. Check each corner. That one's perfect. Perfect. That's perfect too. Inspect the ridge all the way around. Alright, corners look good, edges look good. Put this out of the way. You don't want to look down the edge and make sure your iPad's not bent. If it's bent, you need to use some C-clamps and some blocks. I've got another video to show how to bend it back. This one's okay. It's not bent, as you can see. Anyway, alright, I'm going to get a bezel. I like the bezels for the iPad 3 because they don't have that little corner hole that you have to line up. These are more forgiving, easier to get lined up and in place. Do a dry run, make sure you got it facing the right direction, everything looks good. And once you do, you've got to use double-sided sticky tape to stick it down. So, lined up, looks good. We'll flip it over out of the way. And start lining the very outer rim with double-sided tape. Alright, once that's down, make sure I got it right in. Yep. Alright. Pull off the backing. Alright, now you want to line your corners up. Push to the outer wall. Make sure it's all the way spread outward. You might want to put your fingers in the corners just to make sure they don't pop out while you're pressing this in. I like to start in the middle and push that in and then work out to the outer sides. It seems to work a little better. It won't pop out as easy on the corners. That looks pretty good. That's in there really well. Alright, let's get this glass finisher one more time. Bunch of little pieces of glass and glue. It's a weird spot for it. There's not supposed to be glue there. That last repair, I guess, they dropped some. So the glass stuck to it. It's coming up pretty easy. Time to get the digitizer. If you've got a phone or two, it's good to set them under the digitizer so that it raises it up the same height as the iPad. Makes it easier to work with. Now I'm going to be real careful not to scratch the digitizer here. I don't have good fingernails to get this tape up, but there is a plastic coating on it. See this pull tab that'll come up, so it's protected pretty well right now. It's the last thing you pull off. Keep all your fingerprints off the inside of the digitizer, because once you close it up and you see fingerprints in there, you got a mess. You know, before I go plugging all this in, I think I'm going to go ahead and put my double-sided sticky tape on. I use red tape, brand name red tape, good stuff. Really sticky. Hold that screen down, you won't have any problem with it coming up. Now I'm putting this double-sided tape over the bezel, the lip of the bezel, as well as the aluminum frame. That just helps get it the best seal. You know, the bezel has glue under it, but this glue on top of it's going to keep the glass down a little better. Alright, now let's stick everything in together. This will give us some sticky on it. See those white lines? Those need to nearly disappear inside there, or you don't have it plugged in well. And this is a flimsy cable. It's not easy to get to go in. There we go. Force those little doors down to grip it. Alright. You want this to twist up underneath, like so. It looks funky, but the copper top, or copper area, needs to be on top, not on bottom. The connection will be good, so. It's not the easiest cable to maneuver. Now it's in there, lock the door down. Alright. Now it's time to put this tape back on. I stuck it somewhere else, might be better. Flex cable tape. There. Alright, so before we put the LCD on, we need to make sure this digitizer cable gets tucked up underneath the frame, or we're going to have the digitizer sitting up in this corner because the cable's going to be folded over. So let's use our finger first. Well, let's see if we can do it with a spudger. Phone call. Cable needs to be tucked in there really well. Looks good. Alright, it's time for the digitizer. Somehow I got a smudge on it. Looks good. No fingerprints, no glass. Alright. Fold the door down so it holds onto it. So, I'm not ready to peel back and stick it down yet, but I do want to test it. I'm going to tape this cable here just to help me fold it. When I close it up, if I don't have this all situated just right, it won't fit down in that groove and it'll hold up my screen. So this is just, it's not necessary, not required, but it helps out. Cover up that. Alright, so now you can see it's folding correctly, so it falls into the correct spot. Alright, that looks good. So best to have the lip up on the iPad. Alright, let's put in the 4 screws to the LCD. let's do a test. This cable to fall right. Alright, let's turn it on and test it. Alright, we're going to want to test by grabbing an icon until it wiggles and dragging it everywhere. You want to make sure that if it falls out of your hands, you know you've got a bad digitizer or something to look into. There's a problem. This looks good. Try my volume buttons. Okay, so we didn't damage that cable. You can see that that's working. Mute button. Home button works. Alright, so now what we need to do is turn it off for good. Ready to seal it. Alright, so let's start pulling off plastic covers to the sticky stuff. It usually just comes right out. Alright, now let's take off the sticky stuff for the red tape. So now we want to fold it over and get these two corners in first, lay that side down first, and then worry about these cables. Before I do that, I have to pull up one last brush, some stuff on it. A new smudge. Spotless. Alright, let's take off the plastic from here. So I can see that these cables aren't cooperating. I need to guide them to where they go. Okay. Looks good. Now it's time to clamp it. About every inch. I want this thing to stick well and not pop up. So I'm going to heat activate this glue. My heat gun here in a minute. Get the best seal. You know, the seal is important. You know, you don't want your customer coming back because they've got dust up underneath the digitizer, which will happen if you're not doing a good job. Alright. Alright, I'd let it sit in there for about an hour and then it'll be ready. Alright. Well, that's how you replace the digitizer on a iPad 4. Thanks for watching.